To really enhance your learning within this session, please refer to your lecture notes. And also, you'll need to print off or open a copy of the Prakriti Play quiz that's attached to this series. So let's begin. This unit will cover what Ayurveda means. It begins with the basics. What is Ayurveda? What are the features of Ayurveda? And how does this all relate to yoga? So let's start at the very beginning and have a little bit of an overview. Ayurveda translates to the science of life knowledge. It gives us a framework with which to live our lives according to nature, to keep in balance, to achieve health and harmony. It's a system of trial and error. It's a system of experiencing, interpreting, and changing. So it's not static. What we do for one part of the season, for example, winter, isn't necessarily going to be as beneficial for us in summer. What we take into our bodies and how we live when we're children isn't going to be the same as when we are older. And so it's fluid, it's evolving. And with Ayurveda we listen, it's life knowledge. It gives us an understanding of where we're at and who we are and how we can enhance our well-being according to the qualities of nature. And when we start to understand this basic structure, then we have the power to achieve ultimate health and well-being. Consider, for example, the notion of eating for health. What we take in, we don't always think about, especially living in a Western world. We're told that we need to have 3 meals a day, perhaps 2 snacks. But with Ayurveda, maybe we question this. Maybe this isn't ideal for our body. And so the more we question, the more we get out of it. And the more we get out of it, the more we try. And we see that perhaps it isn't one size fits all. And perhaps going to a yoga class isn't one size fits all. But generally, when we go to a yoga class, it is a general class. So what we're going to really focus on today and further down in our lecture series is how we can take that one size fits all model and tailor it to ourselves using this knowledge, newly found knowledge of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a native system, a medical system to India. And it uses a whole range of different treatments. It looks at herbal therapy, kitchen pharmacy, diet, lifestyle, massage, opening, unblocking, clearing, and of course yoga to maintain and restore health. And so we maybe begin to make lifestyle choices that are more suitable for our personal body, mind and spirit enhancement. Have you ever considered the time of day that you do your yoga and the type of person that you are? These are the things that we're going to explore as we continue in this series. Ayurveda is a system of science. There is a framework, it is systematic. Dates back to approximately 3,000 to 5,000 years BC. And the whole aim is to bring balance, ultimate health, eradicating diseases, becoming aware, moving, fluid. Maybe you've heard of the 3 doshas. How do the 3 doshas come into existence? Maybe you've heard of the 5 elements. Or if you have been practicing yoga and you're fairly familiar with yoga, maybe you've heard of the 3 gunas. So let's explore a little bit further about what all this means and how it comes together. Ayurveda is a system based on qualities. Like increases like. For example, in winter, there's the feeling of wanting to hibernate, of wanting to comfort. So we take maybe more sweet foods, maybe things that are more nourishing and warming. Maybe we want to stay in bed just that little bit longer. We have that feeling of warm because it's really cold outside, and so we balance it. Like increasing like. So food becomes our medicine. Our environment, our lifestyle becomes our medicine. And in Ayurveda, the healing focuses on maintenance and prevention and longevity, rather than being reactive. Rather than looking at one part of the system of the body and responding just to that. It looks at the whole, the overall picture. The five elements. One of the core parts of Ayurveda exist from earth, from the environment, from nature around us. And the five elements are earth and water and fire and air and space. And together, these combine to form a particular dosha or prakriti, which is our blueprint. And it is this that we're going to play with later on in this lecture series. So just for a moment, without any other knowledge, let's look at a case study. And so you'll have in your lecture handouts student A and student B, and a little bit of a description about how student A uses their yoga and their lifestyle, and how student B uses their yoga and their lifestyle. So maybe you'd like to pause this just for a moment and have a little bit of a read. And so student A has a fairly dynamic, fast-paced, fluid vinyasa, hot vinyasa practice. And student A is doing what they think are all the right things. There's a meditative practice, meditation, eats healthy food, tries to avoid late nights. But beyond the mat, there's a gap between that calming feeling, that wholeness that's being created, and what's happening outside. Student B also practices yoga. But student B has chosen to adapt a slower, more steady, calming hatha style of yoga. So student B does the same sort of things, has a meditation practice, eats healthy food, tries to avoid late nights. But there's something that's different with student B. And beyond the mat, that feeling of balance continues throughout the day. So what's going on? Let's examine a little bit further about what yoga is. Why are we practicing yoga? It's a system, again that word system, to reach towards moksha, liberation. There is peace and balance within one's body, mind and spirit. Yoga uses the physical practice, the social practices, the contemplative practices. Maybe looks at the 8 limbs, look at the yamas and the yamas, the social practices, the contemplative practices, look at the dharana, dhyana. And maybe through this combination, one becomes more able to realise the spaces in the mind, the thoughts. And maybe realise that there's more beyond what we think that we are. Let's look a little bit more about what Ayurveda is. Again, it's a system, a framework. We looked at the very beginning of this lecture of what the word Ayurveda means. Life knowledge, a system of knowledge. Again, to reach towards moksha, of liberation, there's space, balance between mind, body and spirit. And we've spoken before that Ayurveda uses qualitative substances, like increasing like, and so we balance that. If we're feeling a little bit too hot, we balance that with a little bit of cold. If we bring heat into the body, we're going to enhance the heat in the system. If we do a hot vinyasa style, and we know that we're already prone maybe to a little bit of feistiness, maybe a little bit of anger and aggression that might exist naturally within us, then how's that going to carry off the mat? Start to think about student A. What's going on with student A? And so it's through this experience and evaluation that one comes to play with the idea of balance and change their lifestyle accordingly. Ayurveda, as mentioned, uses the tools of yoga, of massage, of kitchen pharmacy, herbs, lifestyle, adjusting, achieving balance. And so put it all together for yourself. Take a moment, pause this, and just take a moment to complete your Prakriti play quiz. And it is a play, it's not diagnostic. It's just an idea so we can take this a little bit further. And so maybe now you have an awareness of what sort of dosha is predominant with you. And maybe you've become really strongly with vata or pitta or kapha, with a kind of airy, spacey, with a kind of fiery water, maybe the earthy water, or maybe you find that you're a combination of both. Now consider your practice of yoga and how it makes you feel. Is it a hot vinyasa, moving, flowing, or are you more likely to enjoy the meditative, calming, maybe shavasana kind of qualities? This is the qualitative information that we want to take. This is what we want to use to enhance our yoga. And so now, using your knowledge again, consider the case study of student A and student B. And perhaps you can now understand how their choice of yoga can affect how they relate beyond the mat. So let's summarise. What does Ayurveda mean? Ayurveda is a science of life. It gives us a framework to live by. Ayurveda exists within nature, understands that within nature there are 5 elements: air and space, fire and water and earth. And these combine to give us our doshas, the buzzword of Ayurveda, our blueprint, our Prakriti to live by. Ayurveda and yoga both work towards the ultimate aim of moksha, of liberation, of finding balance between the mind and the body and the spirit. But perhaps Ayurveda takes us more on a physical journey, whereas yoga takes us more on the spiritual path, but they overlap. And together, when we use both with awareness, with evaluation, with examination, just maybe we can work to harmonise beyond the mat.